The train whistle cut through the afternoon like a blade, sharp. Final, the kind of sound that marks endings. Wednesday, September 1882. Millwood, Montana Territory, where arrivals are noted and departures remembered. She stepped off the platform last. Single bag, blue dress wrinkled from 3 days of travel, hands loose at her sides, chin level. The way a woman holds herself when she's decided in advance not to fall apart. At the far end, a man with a paper in his coat. The look of someone who'd been rehearsing bad news so long the rehearsing had made it worse by the time he spoke. Half the town was watching. "I can't do this," loud enough to carry, which was the whole of the cruelty. The platform cleared around her. People finding sudden business elsewhere. The mercy of averted eyes. She remained. Bag at her feet. The town spread out before her. No clear answer to what came next. Across the street, a carpenter came out of the hardware store, sawdust on his sleeve. 2 children waiting at home. 3 years of managing alone. He read the platform. The bag, the straight back, the empty space where a man had just been. And then he crossed the street. Some decisions aren't made in a moment. They're made in 1,000 small choices. This was the first. A stranger. A proposition. A temporary arrangement. Until temporary became something else entirely. This is the story of a woman who arrived with nothing but a carpet bag and a spine. And left with everything that actually matters. Not because someone gave it to her, but because she was brave enough to stay. The platform stood half empty under a sky that couldn't decide between rain and mercy. Wood planks weathered gray. A water tower casting its shadow long. The kind of place where arrivals were noted and departures remembered. The coach from the railhead came in at 2:30. Willa Hartwell was the last one off, 25 years old, single carpetbag. A blue dress that had been pressed before the journey. Had not survived it. Wrinkled at the elbows, dust at the hem, but her hands hung loose at her sides, and her chin stayed level, the way a woman holds herself when she's decided in advance not to fall apart. Not here, not in front of witnesses. Silas Brennan stood at the far end of the platform, 31, thinning hair he tried to comb over. A paper folded in his coat pocket. The look of a man who'd been rehearsing bad news so long the rehearsing had made it worse. He'd filed the contract 8 months prior, through the agency in St. Louis, paid the fee, sent the letter, received her acceptance, and spent every day since changing his mind. But he'd written no letter back, because a letter would have required courage he didn't possess before witnesses were present. Willa had spent 3 years at the orphanage where she'd grown up. Stayed on after aging out, taking in mending, saving what she could, waiting for something that looked like a way forward. When the solicitation came, she read it twice, signed her name, spent the last coin she had on the ticket west. Now Silas stood 10 feet away, and couldn't meet her eyes. "I can't do this," loud enough to carry. Which was the whole of the cruelty. Because the platform wasn't empty. Mrs. Campbell stood near the ticket window, adjusting her shawl, pretending not to listen. Mr. Durant from the feed store paused mid-step, bag of grain over his shoulder. And the Whitfield woman, Constance, always Constance, standing with her daughter near the far bench, watching with the expression of someone witnessing a lesson she'd want to repeat later. By supper, half the town would know. By morning, the rest would. Willa stood and let Silas finish, hands at her sides, face doing what she needed it to do, which was nothing, nothing at all. He waved the agency papers once, not a deed. Everyone on that platform knew a woman was not land, could not be claimed as such, but he held them like a man who wanted the weight of paper behind him. "I thought I could, but I can't." Then he put the papers back in his coat and walked away, without looking back, because looking back would have required something he didn't have either. The platform cleared around her, people finding sudden business elsewhere, errands that couldn't wait. The mercy of averted eyes. Willa remained, bag at her feet. The town spread out in front of her, buildings low and practical, a church spire, the smell of wood smoke and horses, and the faint metallic tang of the rail yard. No clear answer to what came next. Across the street, a man came out of Miller's Hardware, paper bag of fittings in one hand, the other brushing sawdust from his sleeve. 32 years old, broad in the shoulders the way men get from lifting things that don't cooperate. Carpenter's hands, scars on the knuckles from work that bites back. Caleb Thorne. He looked like a man who'd carried too much for too long, long enough that he'd stopped noticing the weight. But he noticed now, stood on the boardwalk step. Read the platform with the instinct of someone who'd learned to assess situations before entering them. The bag, the straight back, the empty space where a man had just been standing. And then he crossed the street, not hurried, but not slow either, stopped at the bottom of the platform steps. Looked up at her, Caleb Thorne. His voice had gravel in it. From shouting over sawdust or keeping quiet too long. I've got 2 children and a house that needs keeping. I do carpentry work 3 days a week. Mornings you'd have the place to yourself. He held her gaze. It's temporary. Room and board until you've sorted what's next. Willa looked at him, taking measure. The way you assess a beam before trusting weight to it. His boots were worn but maintained. Shirt clean, hands that knew work, eyes that weren't asking for anything except an answer. Can you cook? I can, her voice even. Not grateful, not desperate, just factual. And I'm not afraid of hard work. Caleb nodded once, then let's go. She picked up her bag. They walked off the platform together. Behind them the town watched. Stored it up for later, the way small places do with anything that breaks routine. Mrs. Campbell would tell her sister over tea, Mr. Durant would mention it at the feed store, and Constance Whitfield would save it. For the right moment, when a lesson could be extracted and delivered. But for now, they just watched, the carpenter and the woman from the train. Walking down Main Street like it was already decided. The cabin sat at the edge of town, not far. But far enough that you couldn't hear the Saturday night noise from the saloon, or the Sunday morning bells unless the wind carried them right. A split-rail fence marked the property line. Modest, maybe 2 acres. A horse in the side pen. Brown mare with a white star. Lifted her head as they approached, went back to grazing. The house itself was small, single-story, log construction, chimney stone, porch that wrapped halfway around the front, and a step, the bottom one, loose. Willa noted it. Didn't comment. Caleb opened the door without ceremony. Welcome to it. Inside the front room was clean in the way of a house managed by a man alone. Functional, orderly, nothing soft in it. A workbench along the far wall. Tools hanging on pegs, organized by type and size. A wood stove doing steady work. Heat without smoke. The kind of maintenance that spoke to someone who understood how things worked. 2 chairs by the stove. Handmade, mismatched but sturdy. A table near the kitchen. 4 places, on the shelf above the kitchen window, sat a small sewing basket. Wicker. With a wooden lid, it had the look of something no one had touched in a long time. Something everyone in the house had quietly agreed to leave alone. Dust on the lid. But not on anything around it. Which told its own story. Room off the kitchen is yours. Caleb gestured. Your own door. Your own space. Children eat at 6. I eat when I'm back. Willa set her bag down. Understood. Finn. Caleb called toward the back of the house. Nothing. Finn. Louder. A boy appeared from the rear hallway. 10 years old. His father's build already showing in the shoulders. Dark hair that wouldn't cooperate. A face that kept its own counsel. He looked at Willa the way a person looks at something they've seen a version of before, and aren't ready to feel differently about. Looked at his father, then turned and went back the way he came. Without a word, which said plenty, Caleb's jaw tightened. Released, that's Finn, noted. Ruby didn't make an entrance so much as she materialized, 6 years old. 1 ribbon tied properly, 1 simply hanging. Standing near the doorway with the full and unguarded attention of a child who hasn't learned to want things quietly. She looked at Willa with her whole face. Willa looked back, even and calm. Nothing performed? You hungry? Ruby considered this seriously, a little bit. Come help me find what's in the larder. Ruby came without hesitation. Supper that first night was beans and cornbread, and a broth that had no business smelling the way it did, given what the larder held, which wasn't much. Dried beans, cornmeal, salt pork that had seen better days, an onion, some questionable carrots, a jar of preserves someone had clearly made themselves, the wax seal still intact. But Willa had learned at the orphanage how to make something from almost nothing, how to coax flavor from bones, stretch meals across days, make do. The smell reached the front room before anyone sat down. Caleb came in from the yard where he'd been checking the mare's water, stopped just inside the door. Something moved across his face, recognition maybe, or memory. He set it aside. Smells good, it'll do. Finn ate without speaking, fork to plate, plate to mouth. Eyes on his food, Ruby ate with her gaze moving between her bowl and Willa in rotation, like she was trying to figure out a puzzle, and the answer kept moving. Partway through the meal, Ruby set her spoon down. The last woman who kept house for us burned everything she touched. Ruby, Caleb's voice carried warning. Ruby looked at Willa instead. Undeterred, she did though. Willa kept her eyes on her plate. Burnt beans are a serious matter. I don't take them lightly. Finn's head came up. Just slightly. The corner of his mouth moved. Once. Returned to where it had been. He said nothing more. But when supper was finished, he stayed at the table a little longer than he needed to, whittling a small piece of pine. Before going to bed, Caleb noted that didn't comment. The following morning, Caleb came off the porch at first light. The loose step held solid under his boot. He stopped, pressed it again, felt forgive. Found none, stood there a moment, then went inside and poured 2 cups of coffee. Left one on the counter, near where Willa was working. Nothing said about the step. She said nothing about it either. They drank their coffee in the early quiet, the kind of silence that sits between people who understand that some things don't need acknowledgement. The cold morning settled in around the house. Outside, a crow called. Once. Twice. The mare shifted in her pen, and somewhere down the valley a rooster remembered its job. By midday Wednesday, Willa had taken stock of the house. 3 rooms. The front room with the workbench and stove. The kitchen barely separated. 2 bedrooms off the back hallway, and her room. Smallest, but just a bed and a chest. Window facing east, which meant morning light. She could work with that. The linens needed washing. The stove needed proper cleaning. Someone had been letting ash build up, and the pantry shelves wanted organizing. Small things. But small things had a way of adding up. She started with the washing, hauled water from the pump, heated it on the stove. Found the washing paddle hung on a nail by the back door. Ruby appeared at her elbow. Can I help? You can stir. Gently, Ruby took the paddle in both hands. Serious as a judge, stirred like the fate of nations depended on it. Willa watched from the corner of her eye, 6 years old, and already trying to be useful. The understanding that help was a form of belonging. You're good at that? Ruby beamed. Thursday morning brought rain. Not heavy, just persistent. The kind that makes everything damp and grey. Willa worked inside, organized the pantry, mended a tear in one of Finn's shirts, made bread dough and set it to rise. Ruby followed her from room to room, asking questions, telling stories. The way children do when they've decided someone is safe. About the chickens Mrs. Howell kept. About her friend Emily who wouldn't share the jump rope. About how the sky looked before storms. Willa listened, responded, asked her own questions. And slowly, without meaning to, Ruby was claiming her, the way children claim the people who pay attention. Friday. The 5th day, Finn tested her, not dramatically. Just a quiet refusal. She'd asked him to bring in firewood before supper. He'd said he would, then didn't. Sat at the table with his whittling knife, working a piece of cedar, waiting to see what she'd do. Willa appeared in the doorway of the back room. Finn. The wood. He looked up, met her gaze. I was getting to it, I know. Get to it now, please. Not angry, not impatient, just clear. He looked at her. Really looked. Searching for something. Whatever he found made him stand. He brought the wood in, stacked it by the stove without complaint. She thanked him plainly. Went back to the kitchen. From his workbench, Caleb had heard it. He set his plane down, stood in the quiet for a while. Before picking it back up, the days found their shape after that. Finn began staying at the table after meals, whittling or reading, present in a way he hadn't been. Ruby followed Willa from room to room, helping where her hands could reach, watching carefully where they couldn't. And Caleb started coming home at the same hour every evening, which hadn't been the case before. Before had been whenever the work ran long, or when he didn't want to face the quiet house alone. But now there was supper at 6. And Ruby talking about her day, and Finn pretending not to listen but clearly listening. And Willa, just there. Not filling space aggressively, not performing domesticity like a woman trying to prove worth, just doing what needed doing. With competence. And without complaint. It was a grey, unremarkable Monday morning when it happened. September 25th. 12 days since the platform. Ruby was moving through the kitchen in her socks, still warm from sleep, absorbed in some private business that required absolute concentration. She caught her foot on the threshold between the kitchen and the hall. Went down hard on both palms. The sound she made was the startled kind, the kind that comes before a child has decided whether this warrants tears. She decided it did. Willa came down to the floor with her before the crying had fully started, took both small hands in hers, looked at the palms, red, not bleeding, but the shock hurt more than the skin. She held them warm and firm, not making a fuss, not going anywhere. And Ruby, without meaning to say anything at all, said the word that was simply true, "Mama." It went into the cabin and did not leave. Willa's hands stayed where they were, one breath, no more. Then she gathered the girl in, held her until the crying ran itself out, calm and certain, giving no outward sign of what the word had done to the room, to her. Caleb was in the bedroom away. He'd heard, stood with one hand on the frame, looking at the hallway floor, not at them. Something was happening in him, and he kept his eyes away from it, because some things change the moment you look at them straight. At the table, Finn had gone, still 10 years old, and he knew exactly what he'd heard, exactly what it meant. Something in his face that had been shut a long time was working slowly toward open. Not today. But the lock was turning. Caleb went back into his room, sat on the edge of the bed, hand flat on his knee, stayed there while the morning moved quietly around the house. That afternoon, Willa walked into town for flour. The general store sat halfway down Main Street, false front, wide windows, bell over the door that announced arrivals. She went in. The place smelled like leather and coffee and wood polish. Barrels lined one wall, dry goods on shelves, a counter at the back where Mr. Carson kept the till. He looked up when she entered. "Mrs." He paused, uncertain of the title. "Miss Hartwell." "Miss Hartwell, what can I do for you?" "5 pounds of flour, and salt if you have it." He moved to fill the order. The bell over the door rang again. Constance Whitfield entered, mid-50s, dressed well for Millwood, which meant carefully, hair pinned in a style that required effort. The posture of a woman who'd decided long ago that presentation was half the battle. She moved to the counter, stood beside Willa, with the warm and practiced manner of a woman delivering concern she'd prepared at home. "Miss Hartwell." "Mrs. Whitfield, I wanted to speak with you." "About appearances." Willa waited. "People are saying things. About you and Mr. Thorne. About the nature of the arrangement." "The arrangement is room and board in exchange for housekeeping." "Yes, but people talk, and children. Children can be confused about what an arrangement is and what it isn't." She chose her words the way you choose tools. For what they would do, Willa set her coins on the counter. "One at a time. I appreciate your concern, Mrs. Whitfield. But the children aren't confused, and neither am I. I'm only saying that situations have a natural shape when left alone, and confusion comes from giving the wrong idea. The only idea I'm giving is that work earns keep, and respect goes both ways." Constance's smile tightened. "Of course. I just thought, as someone who's been here longer, I should mention it." She left without buying anything. Willa took her flour and salt, walked home, 25 years old, and she'd been assessed by women with prepared voices in enough rooms that she'd built a durable patience for it. The patience of a woman who knew that another person's measure of her was not the truth. She stood at the kitchen window with her hands on the sill, looked at the yard, the line of pines beyond it, the cold flat sky, longer than she needed to. Then she started supper. One evening she read to Ruby from the book of stories on the shelf, doing the voices without embarrassment. The wicked witch cackled. The princess spoke with hope. Ruby pressed against her side. The complete trust of a child who'd made a decision and saw no reason to revisit it. Finn sat at the far end of the room, something in his hands. He didn't look up. He didn't leave. And Caleb stood in the kitchen doorway, coffee cup in hand, watching his children, watching the woman who'd arrived with nothing but a bag and a backbone, starting to settle into his home like she'd been meant for it all along. That evening Caleb was at the stove, checking the fire. She was finishing the dishes. Without looking up from the flames, he asked, "Everything all right today?" She kept her hands in the basin. Thought about it honestly. Yes. He nodded once at the fire. She went back to the dishes. The room held its quiet around them both. On Sunday they went to church, small building, white clapboard, steeple with a bell that Finn said was cracked, so it rang off key. They sat near the back, the four of them. Caleb at the aisle, Finn beside him, Ruby between Willa and Finn. Ruby insisted on sitting next to Willa, which people noted. Pastor Williams preached on perseverance, or mercy. Willa wasn't entirely sure. Her mind kept wandering, to the woman 3 rows up who'd turned around twice to look, to the man across the aisle who'd whispered something to his wife, to Constance Whitfield in the front row, who hadn't turned around once, didn't need to. After the service, people lingered outside, the way they do, talking about nothing in particular: weather, crops, who was doing what. A few nodded at Caleb, acknowledged Willa with careful politeness. Mrs. Campbell from the train platform came over. Miss Hartwell, good to see you settling in, thank you. The children look well. They're good children, that they are. She moved on. Ruby tugged Willa's sleeve. Can we go see the horses? There was a patapoca behind the church where people left their rigs. Stay where I can see you. Ruby ran off. Finn followed at a slower pace. Pretending he wasn't following, Caleb stood beside Willa, hands in his pockets. Towns got opinions. Towns always do. Doesn't bother you? She considered it. I've had worse. He glanced at her. Something in his expression shifted. Like he was recalculating an equation. I believe that. By the time frost settled into the mornings for good, Ruby had stopped trailing Willa like a guest and started trailing her like a child at home. October came in cold. The leaves on the cottonwoods turned yellow, then brown, then fell. The mare grew her winter coat, and the house took on the rhythm of a place where people knew each other's patterns. Caleb worked, came home, washed at the pump, sat for supper. Finn did his schoolwork at the table, helped with the firewood without being asked. Ruby talked, constantly, about everything. The chickens Mrs. Howell kept, the new kittens at the livery, how Constance Whitfield's daughter Emily wouldn't share the jump rope. Willa listened, responded, asked questions that mattered. And at night, after the children were asleep, she sat in her small room, window facing east, waiting for morning light. It was the first week of November when Willa found the letter, not in the mail. In the sewing basket. She'd been looking for thread, the basket on the shelf, the one no one touched. But she needed brown thread, and there was nowhere else to look. She opened the lid. Inside, needles, thread wound on wooden spools, fabric scraps, a thimble, and beneath it all, folded small, a letter. The paper had yellowed. The ink faded, but the words were still clear. Caleb, if I don't win this, I need you to know something. Don't live in the past. Don't make the children live there either. Find someone who can love them. Love you. Don't compare her to me. Love her for who she is. That's what I want. Sarah. Willa read it twice, set it back exactly where she'd found it, took the thread she needed, closed the lid, stood at the counter with her hands flat on the wood. Her throat felt tight, her chest even tighter. This wasn't a house that needed a housekeeper. It was a house that had been waiting for something or someone to make it breathe again. That night at supper, Ruby announced that Emily Whitfield had finally shared the jump rope, only because teacher made her. Still counts, Willa said. That's what I said. Finn almost smiled. Caleb watched from across the table, coffee cup in hand, watching his children, animated, talking over each other, watching Willa, who listened like every word mattered. And for the first time in 3 years, the house didn't feel like a place he was managing. It felt like a place he lived. On November 10th, a Thursday, Willa was in the yard hanging laundry when a man rode up, tall, lean, 40 years old, hard eyes, a jaw that looked like it had taken a few punches and returned them with interest. He stopped his horse at the fence. You Willa Hartwell. She straightened. Clothespin in hand. Who's asking? Nathaniel Hayes. Your brother. The world tilted. She held onto the line. What do you want? To bring you home. I don't have a home. You've got family. And obligations. I have neither. He dismounted, tied the horse, came through the gate uninvited. That's not how family works, Willa. Family doesn't lock a woman in a room for refusing a man. That stopped him. For a moment, then he smiled. Not kindly. You're going to tell lies now? They're not lies. Then prove it. Behind her, the door opened. Caleb stepped onto the porch. He didn't say anything, just stood there, hammer in hand. Nathaniel looked at him, then at Willa. This the man you're hiding behind? I'm not hiding. Could have fooled me. Caleb came down the steps, slow, deliberate. I think it's time for you to leave. I think that's not your call. On my property it is, Nathaniel laughed. Short and bitter. Your property. With my sister keeping house. Sounds like she found herself another arrangement. Sounds like you need to get back on that horse. Nathaniel took a step forward, so did Caleb. They stood 3 feet apart, measuring. Willa stepped between them. Stop. Both men looked at her. Nathaniel, I'm not going back. If you try to make me, I'll go to the sheriff, and I'll tell him everything. You think they'll believe you? I think they'll listen. And then what? You stay here? Playing house with a widower and his kids? What I do is none of your concern. You're my sister. I was your sister. Before you tried to sell me to pay your debts, Nathaniel's face darkened. You watch your mouth. Or what? You'll lock me in a room again? Silence. Even the wind seemed to pause. Caleb spoke quietly. Get on your horse. Leave. Don't come back, or I'll make sure you can't. Nathaniel looked at Willa, then at Caleb. Something in his expression shifted. Calculation replacing anger. He wasn't going to win this. Not today. This isn't over. Yes, it is. He went to his horse. Mounted. Looked down at her. You'll regret this. I already regret knowing you. He rode off. Willa stood in the yard, clothespin still in her hand. Laundry half hung. Caleb stayed beside her. You holding up? She nodded. Not trusting her voice. We should talk, Sheriff Wilson. You believe me? He looked at her like she'd asked if the sky was up. Of course I believe you. Her throat tightened. Something in her chest gave way. Not broke. Just gave way. The way a dam does when the water finally wins. That evening after the children were in bed, Caleb and Willa sat at the table. Coffee between them. Tell me what happened, he said. So she did. About the orphanage. About Nathaniel coming to collect her when she aged out. She was 16. He was 28. Her only living relative. About the boarding house where he kept a room. The debts he'd accumulated. Gambling. Drinking. About the man he owed money to. Mr. Dalton. Middle-aged. Cruel eyes. About Nathaniel's proposal. Marry Dalton. Deb's forgiven. About her refusal. About being locked in her room for 2 days. No food. Little water. About escaping through the window. Address. $7. And nothing else. About 3 years working at the orphanage. Saving. Waiting for a way out that didn't involve running forever. About the mail-order bride contract. A legal way to disappear. Caleb listened. Didn't interrupt. Didn't question. When she finished, he was quiet for a long time. We'll go to the sheriff tomorrow. What if he doesn't? He will. How do you know? Because I'll make sure he does. She looked at him across the table. This man who'd offered shelter to a stranger, who'd stood between her and violence without hesitation. Why are you helping me? Caleb met her eyes. Because it's the right thing to do, is that all? He didn't answer immediately. Turned his coffee cup in his hands. No, he said finally. That's not all. The fire in the stove crackled. Outside an owl called. And in the small house at the edge of town, 2 people sat in the lamplight, not saying what they both knew, not yet, but feeling it settle between them like something inevitable. Something that had been building since the train platform, since the first cup of coffee left on the counter, since the moment he'd crossed the street. And she'd picked up her bag. Because some decisions aren't made in a moment. They're made in 1,000 small choices, and both of them had been choosing every day, without realizing it, until now. Friday morning. November 11th, Sheriff Wilson's office sat across from the livery, single room, wood stove. Desk that had seen better decades, a gun rack. 2 cells in the back that rarely held anyone longer than a night, mostly drunks sleeping it off, sometimes worse. Willa sat in the chair opposite the desk, hands folded in her lap. Caleb stood behind her, not touching, but close enough that his presence registered. Sheriff Wilson was 63, gray beard, eyes that had seen enough to stop being surprised, but not enough to stop caring. He listened. Willa told him about Nathaniel, about the locked room, about Mr. Dalton, about why she'd left. The sheriff took notes. Slow, careful handwriting. Asked questions, not in the way that doubted. In the way that built a case. Where was this boarding house? St. Louis, on 4th Street, near the river. And this Mr. Dalton. First name? James? He's still there? I don't know. Wilson nodded. Wrote it down. Your brother made threats yesterday? He said I'd regret staying, in front of Mr. Thorne? Yes, and he tried to take you by force? He tried to intimidate me into leaving. Wilson set his pencil down. Looked at her, Miss Hartwell. I want to be clear. What you're describing, that's unlawful imprisonment, attempted coercion. Those are serious charges. I know, if you're willing to testify to that. Under oath. I can bring your brother in for questioning, and if the evidence supports it, we can take it to Judge Morrison. Willa's throat tightened. What if they don't believe me? I believe you. The simplicity of it hit her sideways. Why? Because women don't make up stories like that. Not here. Not where everyone knows everyone. Too much risk. Too little reward. He stood. Came around the desk. I'll ride out to where your brother's staying. Bring him in. You'll need to give a formal statement. Probably Monday. Judge Morrison holds court Wednesdays. We'll see what he says. Caleb spoke for the first time. What about her safety? Until then, she stays with you? Yes. Then she's as safe as anywhere. Nathaniel Hayes tries anything. I'll lock him up myself. They walked back through town in silence. The morning had turned colder. Sky white with the threat of snow that wouldn't arrive for another week. Halfway home, Willa stopped. Caleb turned back. What is it? Thank you for believing me. Without question, he looked at her. Really looked. The way he had on the platform. When he was deciding whether to cross the street, Willa. Some things don't need questioning, she nodded, not trusting words. They walked the rest of the way, in the kind of quiet that didn't need filling. Saturday, Sheriff Wilson rode out to the boarding house 2 miles from town. Brought Nathaniel in for questioning. By Sunday. Word had spread. Sunday. November 13th, church again. Same building. Same cracked bell. Different feeling, because word had spread. The sheriff talking to Nathaniel Hayes on Saturday morning. At the boarding house. Bringing him in for questioning. People knew, not the details. But enough to whisper. The Thorne family sat in their usual spot. Near the back. Ruby between Willa and Caleb. Finn on the aisle. Constance Whitfield was in the front row. As always. But this time when people looked, it wasn't with judgment, it was with curiosity. And something that might have been sympathy. After the service, as people filed out, Mrs. Campbell approached. Miss Hartwell, Mrs. Campbell, I wanted to say. I think you're very brave. Willa blinked. Surprised, thank you, what you're doing. Standing up, not many would, she patted Willa's arm. Moved on. 3 other women came by. Said similar things, quiet words of support. And then Constance Whitfield, she didn't approach directly. Just paused near the door. Where Willa was helping Ruby with her coat. Miss Hartwell. Mrs. Whitfield, a beat of silence. I owe you an apology. Willa straightened. Surprised for the second time in 10 minutes. I spoke out of turn. I made some assumptions. You did, no softening it. Constance's mouth twitched. Almost a smile. Yes, I did. And I was wrong. She looked at Ruby. Then at Finn standing nearby. The children are thriving. Anyone can see that. Whatever you and Mr. Thorne have built here. It's working. She paused, as if deciding whether to say more. I hope the judge rules in your favor. Wednesday, she left before Willa could respond. Caleb came up beside her. 2 cups of church coffee. Handed her one. What did she want? To apologize. His eyebrows rose. Wonders never cease. Apparently, Ruby tugged Willa's skirt. Can we go see the horses? Stay close. She ran off. Finn followed at his usual not following pace. Caleb sipped his coffee. Made a face. This is terrible. It's church coffee. It's supposed to be why. Builds character. He laughed. Short and surprised. It was one of the few times she'd heard him really laugh. The sound did something to the cold morning. Made it less cold. Monday, November 14th, the formal statement took 3 hours. Judge Morrison's clerk, a thin man named Alistair Price, spectacles, inkwell, forms that required signatures in triplicate. Willa told the story again, in detail, dates, times, names. The boarding house on 4th Street, the 2nd floor room. Window facing the alley. Iron bed, washstand. Door that locked from the outside. 2 days. Late March 1879. No food. A pitcher of water that Nathaniel brought once. Without speaking, she'd escaped on the 3rd night. When he'd left to gamble, picked the lock with a hairpin. Mrs. Thornton at the orphanage had taught her that. Years ago. For emergencies, always have a way out, Mrs. Thornton had said. Even if you never use it. Willa had used it. Alistair Price wrote it all down. Read it back to her. Had her sign, you'll testify to this? Under oath? Yes. Wednesday morning, 10 o'clock. Courtroom's upstairs at the town hall. I'll be there outside. Caleb was waiting. He'd taken the day off work. Lost wages. Didn't matter. Some things mattered more. How'd it go? Done. Good. They walked to home. Past the general store, the barber shop. The hotel, past the saloon, where a man stood outside. Leaning against the post, Thomas Brennan, brother to Silas. The man who'd left Willa on the platform, 34. Taller than his brother, broader. The look of a man who worked with his hands. But drank with them too. He watched them pass, didn't say anything. But his eyes followed Willa. Caleb noticed. You know him? That's Thomas Brennan, Silas's brother? Yes. He give you trouble? Not yet, if he does. Tell me, I will. But Thomas Brennan wasn't the kind for direct confrontation. He was the kind who sat in saloons. Drinking. Thinking about things that had gone wrong. Blaming everyone but himself. And Silas had told him about the woman. The one from the platform. The one who'd moved in with Caleb Thorne Thomas had been drinking on it for weeks. Tuesday, November 15th, Willa spent the day preparing, not for court. For life, because court would happen. She'd testify. The judge would rule, but after she'd still need to live in this town, still need to face people, still need to figure out what temporary meant, and whether it still applied. She baked bread, 2 loaves. Let Ruby help with the kneading, small hands pushing dough, flour on her nose. Why are we making so much? Because bread makes everything better, even bad days. Especially bad days. Ruby considered this. Tomorrow's a bad day? Tomorrow's an important day. What's the difference? Willa smiled. Important days you prepare for. Bad days you survive, which is harder. Depends on the day. Finn came in from school. Dropped his books on the table. What's for supper? Stew again? He paused. Reconsidering. I didn't say I didn't like it. Good. Because I'd hate to serve you something you don't like. The corner of his mouth twitched. Almost a smile. Close enough. That night after the children were asleep, Caleb sat at his workbench, planing a piece of oak. Long, smooth strokes. Willa sat at the table, mending one of Ruby's dresses. Torn at the hem from playing too rough, the quiet between them had shifted. From the quiet of strangers sharing space, to the quiet of people who didn't need words to understand. You nervous? Caleb asked, not looking up from the wood. Yes, that's normal, is it? Fear means you care about the outcome. What if the outcome's wrong? Then we deal with it, we, not you. We? Willa set the mending down. Why are you doing this? Doing what? Helping me. Risking's your reputation, your business. He stopped planing, set the tool aside. Turned to face her. You want the truth? Always, because when I saw you on that platform, standing there, after what Silas did, you didn't fall apart, didn't beg, didn't make yourself small. He leaned forward, elbows on knees. You stood there like you had every right to take up space. And I thought, that's the kind of person my children need to see. The kind who doesn't break. Willa's throat tightened. Everyone breaks. Not everyone breaks the same way. Some people break and come back stronger. You're that kind. She looked at him. This man, this carpenter, this widower with calluses on his hands, this man who'd crossed a street for a stranger and kept crossing. Every day since. What if I'm not? Too late. I've already decided. You don't get to decide that. Watch me. Something in the air shifted, changed frequency, like the moment before lightning strikes, when the world holds its breath. Caleb stood, crossed to the table. Willa looked up at him. He held out his hand. Come here, why? Just come here. She stood, took his hand. He led her to the front window, the one facing the yard. Outside the moon was rising, nearly full. Silver light on the fence posts, on the mare in her pen, on the pines beyond. See that? The yard, the house, the land. The life here, she nodded. 3 years ago, this was just a place I survived, where I kept my children alive, but didn't live. He turned to face her. You've been here 2 months, and we're living again. Willa's breath caught. Caleb, I'm not saying this to make you uncomfortable, or to pressure you into anything. I'm saying it because it's true. He was still holding her hand. She was still letting him. Tomorrow, whatever happens. You're not alone in it. You don't owe me. This isn't about owing. It's about choosing what? To stand with someone. Even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. The moonlight cut across his face. And Willa saw him. Really saw him. Not as the carpenter who'd offered shelter, but as the man who'd kept offering, every day. In 1,000 small ways. Coffee on the counter, believing without question. Standing between her and violence, tossing. Over and over. I don't know what happens after tomorrow, she said quietly. Neither do I. Doesn't that scare you? Terrifies me. Then why? Because some things are worth being terrified for. He let go of her hand, stepped back. Get some sleep. Tomorrow's coming whether we're ready or not. He went to his room, left her standing in the moonlight. Heart racing, mind spinning. Knowing something had shifted. Knowing there was no going back. Wednesday, November 16th, 10 o'clock. The courtroom was upstairs at the town hall. Small space, 20 chairs, a bench for the judge, a table for the clerk. No jury. Montana Territory didn't require juries for civil matters, just the judge, the parties. And whoever showed up to watch, half the town showed up. Willa sat at the front table, Caleb beside her. Alistair Price on her other side with his papers. Nathaniel Hayes sat across the aisle, no lawyer, representing himself, which was a mistake. But pride made men stupid. Judge Morrison entered at 10 sharp, 70 years old. White hair, black robe, The look of a man who'd heard every excuse. Believed none of them. All rise, everyone stood. Be seated, they sat. Case of Willa Hartwell versus Nathaniel Hayes. Miss Hartwell is seeking a protective order based on allegations of unlawful imprisonment and attempted coercion. He looked at Willa. Miss Hartwell. You're representing yourself? Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Price is advising? Yes, Your Honor. Proceed. Willa stood. Her hands shook. She folded them. Pressed them against her skirt, started talking, told the story. Egan, the boarding house. The locked room. The 2 days, James Dalton. The debt. The proposal. Escaping through the window. Running, 3 years of running, until she couldn't run anymore. Her voice shook at first, then steadied, because the story wasn't just hers. It belonged to every woman who'd been cornered. Every woman who'd been told her only value was in who she married. Every woman who'd chosen freedom over safety. When she finished, the courtroom was silent. Judge Morrison made notes. Mr. Hayes. Your response. Nathaniel stood. She's lying. About which part? All of it. You deny locking her in a room? I was protecting her from herself. She was being foolish, refusing a good match. With a man she didn't want to marry. Want doesn't matter. Family does. The judge's expression didn't change, but something in his eyes did, Mr. Hayes. In this territory, a woman's consent matters. Want matters. You don't get to lock someone up for their own good. She's my sister. She's an adult, with the right to make her own choices. Bad choices are still her choices to make. Nathaniel's jaw worked. This is about that carpenter, isn't it? She's living with him. Unchaperoned. That's the real issue here. Judge Morrison looked at Caleb. Mr. Thorne, what's the nature of your arrangement with Miss Hartwell? Caleb stood. She keeps house, in exchange for room and board. Until she decides what's next, and the children benefit from her care. Is there any impropriety? No, Your Honor, Miss Hartwell. Is Mr. Thorne's account accurate? Yes, Your Honor. The judge nodded. Then that's not the concern of this court. What is the concern, Mr. Hayes? Is whether you pose a continued threat to your sister? I don't. You showed up at her residence, made threats, attempted to remove her by force. Sheriff Wilson's report confirms that. Nathaniel's face darkened. I was trying to bring her home. She doesn't want to go. That's not her decision. It is exactly her decision. The judge sat back. I'm granting the protective order. Mr. Hayes, you are prohibited from contacting Miss Hartwell, from coming within 100 yards of her, or the Thorne residence, or any place she is known to frequent. Violation of this order will result in arrest and imprisonment. Do you understand? Nathaniel's hands curled into fists. I understand. Then we're done here. The gavel came down, one sharp crack. And it was over. Outside, on the steps of the town hall, people gathered. Mrs. Campbell, Mr. Durant, even Constance Whitfield. They didn't say much. A nod here, a smile there. But the message was clear. The town had chosen. Willa sat on the steps, legs suddenly weak. Caleb sat beside her. You did it. We did it. No, you did it. I just stood there. She looked at him. You did more than stand. He shrugged. Uncomfortable with the credit. What now? Good question. What now? The temporary arrangement had been about surviving until she figured out what came next. But what came next? Stay? Leave? Figure out how to live in a place that knew her story? I don't know, she said honestly. That's all right, is it? Not knowing is just the step before knowing. Ruby came running up the steps. Finn following. They'd been at school. But news traveled fast. Did you win? I did. What did you win? The right to stay. Ruby frowned. You were going to leave? I might have had to, but you don't have to now? No. Ruby threw her arms around Willa's neck. Good. Because I don't want you to leave. Over Ruby's shoulder. Willa met Finn's eyes. He didn't say anything, but he nodded once, and that was enough. That night, supper was celebratory. Willa made the stew, but added dumplings, which Ruby had requested, and apple pie. From the preserves Mrs. Howell had traded for mending. They ate, talked, laughed. Finn told a story about a boy at school who'd gotten his head stuck in the stair railing. Ruby acted it out, complete with sound effects. Caleb laughed until tears came. And Willa sat at the table, watching this family. That wasn't quite hers, but felt like it could be, if she let it. After the children went to bed, Caleb and Willa cleaned up side by side at the basin. She washed, he dried. A rhythm they'd fallen into without planning. You're staying, Caleb said. Not a question. I don't have anywhere else to go. That's not the same as wanting to stay. She handed him a plate. I want to stay. He took it. Set it on the stack. Good. But I need to be clear about something. What? She turned to face him. This arrangement, the temporary thing. I don't know what it becomes, but it needs to be fair. I can't just live here without contributing more. You contribute. Keeping house isn't enough. What else do you want to do? I've been thinking. About your business. My business? The carpentry. You lost clients. Because of me. Because of rumors. That's not your fault. Maybe not. But I can help fix it. How? By finding new clients. People who don't care about rumors. People who care about quality work. He looked at her. Surprised you'd do that? I can write, keep books, manage accounts. I did it at the orphanage. I can't pay you, then don't. Consider it part of the arrangement. I keep house, manage the business. You provide room and board. That's not equal. It's equal enough. He studied her face. You're serious. Completely. A smile tugged at his mouth. All right then. Partners. They shook hands, formal. Almost funny, except neither of them was laughing, because they both felt it. The shift from temporary to something that might be permanent, if they were brave enough. Thursday, November 17th, Willa went into town, not to the general store, to the bank. Mr. Harrison, the manager, late 50s, spectacles. The air of a man who dealt in certainty, Miss Hartwell. What can I do for you? I'd like to inquire about a business loan. His eyebrows rose. For? Caleb Thorne's carpentry business. Expansion. New tools. Materials Mr. Thorne sent you? We're partners now, I see. He didn't see. But he was polite enough to pretend. How much? $50. That's substantial. The business is sound. His work is quality. He just needs capital and collateral. She hadn't thought of that. What kind of collateral? Property. Equipment. Something the bank can claim if the loan defaults, Willa thought. He owns the house. The land, is he willing to put that up? I don't know. But I'll find out. Mr. Harrison made notes. Have him come in. We'll discuss terms, thank you. She left. Walked to the feed store. Mr. Durant was stacking sacks of grain. Miss Hartwell. Mr. Durant. I wanted to ask. Do you know anyone who needs carpentry work? He paused. Might. Why, Caleb Thorne is taking new clients. Quality work. Fair prices. Heard he had some trouble. Trouble past. Durant nodded slowly. My barn needs a new loft. Been putting it off. I can have him come look at it. Give you an estimate. All right. Send him by Saturday, I will. Thank you. She hit 4 more businesses. The hotel needed new bed frames. The church needed pews repaired. The livery needed stalls rebuilt by the time she walked home. She had 6 potential jobs. 6 Caleb was in the yard. Working on a new hen house for Mrs. Howell. Willa came up beside him. I got you 6 jobs. He looked up. Hammer in hand? What? 6 jobs. New clients. All need carpentry. He set the hammer down. How? I asked. Just asked? Just asked. He stared at her. Willa Hartwell. You're something else, I told you. Partners. Yeah. But I didn't think, what? That I'd actually do it? I didn't think you'd be this good at it. She smiled. I'm good at a lot of things. You just haven't seen them all yet. He laughed. I'm starting to realize that. Saturday, November 19th. Caleb went to see Mr. Durant about the barn. Came back with the job. And 3 more referrals by the end of the week. He had more work than he could handle. Which meant hiring help. Which meant growth. Which meant the business wasn't just surviving. It was thriving. And Willa kept the books. Wrote the invoices. Managed the schedule. Turned out she had a head for numbers and for people. She knew who to push. Who to give space. When to negotiate. When to hold firm. Caleb watched her work, amazed. Where'd you learn this, Mrs. Thornton? At the orphanage. She ran it like a business. Because it was. She taught me everything. Remind me to thank her. You can't. She died 2 years ago. His face softened. I'm sorry. Don't be. She lived exactly how she wanted. And died the same way. What way? On her own terms. He nodded. She taught you well. Sunday, November 20th. Church again. But different now. Because people weren't whispering. They were talking, openly. About Willa. About the court case. About the business. About how Caleb Thorne's luck had turned after the service. Thomas Brennan approached, drunk, at 11 in the morning. Drunk, he stopped in front of Willa. Swayed slightly. You. Caleb stepped forward. Thomas. Go home, no. I got something to say. Say it sober, can't. Only works drunk. He looked at Willa, my brother. Silas. He regrets it. Regrets what? Leaving you. On the platform. Willa said nothing. He sees you now. With them. Thomas gestured vaguely at Caleb and the children. Happy. Settled. And he knows. He knows he gave that up. He didn't give anything up. He threw it away. Thomas blinked. Processing. That's cold. That's truth. He wants to apologize. Tell him I don't need his apology. What do you need? Nothing from him. Thomas swayed again. Caleb took his arm. Come on, I'll walk you home. Don't need walking. You're drunk in front of a church. You need walking. Thomas laughed, bitter and broken. Yeah, I guess I do. Caleb looked at Willa. Take the children home. I'll be back. She nodded, watched him walk away with Thomas Brennan, this man, who helped even when it wasn't convenient, who stood up, even when it cost him, who kept choosing kindness. Over and over, Rupi tugged her hand. Is Mr. Brennan all right? He will be. Papa's helping him. Yes, Papa helps everyone. Willa looked down at the small girl. Yes, he does that evening. After the children were asleep, Caleb came out to the porch where Willa sat, wrapped in a shawl, watching the stars. Room for one more? Always, he sat beside her. Thomas made it home. Good. He's a mess, I noticed. He's jealous. Of what? This. You. The life we're building. It's not his life. No. But he wants one like it. And doesn't know how to get it. Willa pulled the shawl tighter. That's not my problem. No, it's not. Silence, comfortable. Until Caleb spoke again. Ruby asked you something a few weeks ago. Willa remembered. The day after court. Ruby asking if she liked Papa. She asks a lot of things. She asked me the same thing. What did you tell her? That grown-up decisions take time. And she accepted that? Not even a little. Willa laughed despite herself. She's persistent. She's 6. And she wants a mother. The word hung between them. Mother, not housekeeper. Not temporary arrangement, mother. I'm not her mother, Willa said quietly. No. But you could be. She looked at him. Caleb, I'm not asking anything. I'm just saying if you wanted. The door's open. That's a big door. The best ones are. He stood, stretched. Think about it. No rush. We've got time. He went inside, left her on the porch, under the stars, thinking about doors, and whether she was brave enough to walk through. Monday, December 5th, almost 3 weeks after the trial. Snow had arrived. Not much, just enough to cover the ground, turn the world white and quiet. Willa stood at the kitchen window, coffee cup warming her hands, watching Finn and Ruby build something that might be a snowman, might be a snow monster. Hard to tell from here. Behind her, the stove crackled, bread rising in bowls, stew simmering. The house smelled like home, which was dangerous, because home was temporary, had always been temporary, until it wasn't, until somewhere between the platform and now, between temporary and whatever this was, something had shifted, changed, become permanent without asking permission. She didn't know when exactly. Maybe the first cup of coffee Caleb left on the counter. Maybe the moment Ruby said mama. Maybe the night on the porch when he'd said the door was open. Or maybe it had been inevitable. From the moment he crossed the street, the door opened behind her. Caleb, stomping snow off his boots. Cold out there. It's December. Fair point. He came to stand beside her at the window, shoulder to shoulder. They're building a dragon. That's not a dragon. Ruby says it is. Ruby also says the chickens are plotting something. He laughed. Kids got imagination. Kids got something. They stood there, watching the children. Not touching, but close enough that Willa could feel his warmth. Business is good, Caleb said after a moment. Better than good. Because of you. Because of quality work. And smart management. She sipped her coffee. We make a decent team. We do. Another pause. Caleb cleared his throat. I've been thinking. Dangerous. About the arrangement. Her heart skipped. What about it? It's been almost 3 months. Yes. And I was wondering if you'd thought about what comes next. She set her cup down. Carefully. I have. And I don't know. He nodded. Like he'd expected that. Can I ask you something? Always. Do you want to stay? The question hung between them. Complicated. Everything. Yes. The word came out before she could stop it. Before she could think. Just. Yes. Caleb exhaled. All right then. All right? That's all I needed to know. He went to the stove. Checked the stew. Like he hadn't just asked the most important question. Like her answer hadn't just changed everything. Willa stood at the window. Heart racing. Mind spinning, trying to figure out what had just happened. Tuesday, December 6th, Willa went into town for supplies, flour, sugar, coffee. The usual, the general store was busy. Mrs. Harrison, Mr. Kent. 2 women Willa didn't know by name. She waited her turn, noticed the whispers had changed. No longer judgment, just curiosity. When would she and Caleb make it official? Were they courting? Was there a wedding coming? Mr. Carson rang up her order. That'll be $2.40. She paid, gathered her parcels, turned to leave, and walked straight into Thomas Brennan, sober this time, which somehow felt more unpredictable. Miss Hartwell. Mr. Brennan. Got a minute? Not really, it's about my brother, she sighed. I don't want to talk about Silas, he's leaving, for California. But he wanted me to give you something first. He held out an envelope. She didn't take it. I don't want anything from him. It's not money. Just a letter. He's been in Denver these past months, working. Just came back last week. Heard about you and Caleb, about the trial. He asked me to bring this. Thomas pressed the envelope into her hand. Just read it. Then burn it if you want. But read it. He left before she could refuse again. Willa stood there, envelope in hand, feeling the weight of it. Words she didn't ask for, from a man who'd forfeited the right to give them. She shoved it in her pocket, walked home that evening. After supper, after dishes, after the children were in bed, Willa sat in her room, small space, window facing east, the envelope on the bed beside her. She'd been staring at it for 20 minutes. Open it, don't open it, write it. Burn it, care, don't care. Finally she picked it up, broke the seal, unfolded the paper, Silas's handwriting, messy but legible. Willa, I don't expect forgiveness. Don't deserve it. What I did on that platform, that was cowardice. Pure and simple, I told myself I was protecting you from a life you didn't want. But truth is, I was protecting myself from a commitment I was too afraid to make. I've been in Denver since September, working, trying to become the kind of man who deserves a second chance at anything. When Thomas wrote about the trial, about you standing up to your brother, I realized something. You were always stronger than me. I see you now. With Thorne, with his kids, and I see what I gave up, not you. The chance to be the kind of man who deserves someone like you. You're better off. Always were. But I wanted you to know. I see it now. What I couldn't see then. I hope you find happiness. I hope Thorne's smart enough not to let you go. Leaving for California Friday. Starting over. Again. Silas, she read it twice, then folded it, set it on the dresser. Didn't burn it. Didn't need to. It was just paper. Just words from a man who'd realized too late what he'd had, and lost. She didn't feel anger or vindication. Just nothing. Which was the right amount. A knock at her door. Come in. Caleb opened it. Poked his head in. You've been quiet tonight? Just thinking? About? She held up the letter. Silas wrote. Thomas brought it today. His expression darkened slightly. What'd he say? That he's sorry. That he sees what he lost. That he hopes I'm happy, and are you? Am I what? Happy. The question shouldn't have surprised her, but it did. Was she happy in this small house? With these children? With this man? Was she happy? Yes, she said quietly. I am. Caleb smiled. Good. He started to close the door. Caleb, yeah? Thank you. For asking. He nodded. Anytime the door closed, and Willa sat in her room, realizing something important. She wasn't just happy, she was home. Thursday, December 8th. Morning, Willa was rolling out pie crust when the knock came, hard. Urgent, she wiped her hands. Went to the door, Sheriff Wilson. Her stomach dropped. Sheriff, Miss Hartwell. Is Mr. Thorne here? He's at the Whitfield place, repairing the porch. What's wrong, your brother? Ice ran through her veins. What about him? He's in town. Broke the protective order. He's at the saloon, drunk. Asking for you, I'm not going. Didn't think you would. But I wanted you to know. I'm bringing him in. Locking him up. Just stay here. Don't go into town. I won't. Good. He tipped his hat. Left. Willa closed the door, leaned against it. Nathaniel, after all this time, after the order, after everything. He couldn't let it go. She went back to the kitchen, tried to focus on the pie, but her hands shook, and the flour scattered, and she couldn't breathe right. Because some fears don't fade, they just wait. By noon, Wilson had Nathaniel in a cell. By 1 o'clock, the whole town knew. By 2. Caleb was home. He came through the door fast. Where is he? In jail. Good. He crossed to her. Put his hands on her shoulders. Talk to me. I'm fine. You're shaking. I said I'm fine. He pulled her into his chest, and she broke. Not loudly. Just broke. The fear she'd been holding. The anger. The exhaustion of always looking over her shoulder. It came out in silent, shaking sobs. Caleb held her, didn't say anything, didn't try to fix it, just held her. Until she could breathe again. I'm sorry, she whispered. For what falling apart? That's not falling apart. That's being human. She pulled back. Wiped her eyes. What happens now? Wilson said he'll hold him for violating the order. Judge will decide. Probably jail time. How much? 30 days. Maybe more, and after? After, he's gone. And you're safe. You can't promise that. Watch me, he said it with such certainty, such complete conviction, that she almost believed him. Friday, December 9th, Judge Morrison held a hearing. Nathaniel, hungover, belligerent, claimed he just wanted to talk to his sister. The judge wasn't interested. You violated a court order. That's 30 days. 30 days for trying to see family? 30 days for breaking the law. The gavel came down. Nathaniel was led away, shouting about injustice, about rights, about how Willa had turned everyone against him. She sat in the courtroom, watching him rage, feeling nothing. He was her brother by blood, but family was more than blood. Family was choice, and she'd made hers. Saturday, December 10th, the house was quiet, too quiet. Finn and Ruby had gone to the Howell place. To see the new kittens, Caleb was in his workshop, working on something. Willa was in the kitchen, kneading bread, the rhythm soothing plill. Fold, turn, plill. Fold, turn. The door to the workshop opened. Caleb emerged. Something in his hands, a box small, cedar, beautifully made. What's that? For you. He set it on the table. She wiped her hands. Approached carefully. Why? Because that's not an answer. It's the only one I've got. She opened it. Inside, a key, brass, old-fashioned. What's this? Key to the house. Her breath caught. Caleb, you said you didn't know what came next. After temporary, I didn't. Well, here's my answer. He took her flowery hand. Willa Hartwell. I'm not good with words, never have been. But I'm good with actions. And this is me, acting. Acting how? Asking you to stay. Not as the housekeeper, not as temporary. He swallowed hard, as my wife. If you'll have me, the world stopped, tilted, rearranged itself. What? I know it's fast. I know it's not conventional. But nothing about us has been conventional, Caleb. You don't have to answer now. Take time, think about it. But I wanted you to know. The door's not just open, I'm standing in it. Asking you through. She looked at this man. This carpenter with flour on his shirt from where she'd touched him. Who'd crossed a street for a stranger. Who'd stood beside her through courts and confrontations. Who'd given her safety, purpose, home. Who was offering her everything and asking for nothing but the chance to love her. Yes, the word came out. Clear, certain. Yes? Yes, his face transformed. You're sure? I've never been more sure of anything. He pulled her close, kissed her forehead. When? When what? When do you want to do this? She laughed. You're asking me to plan our wedding? You're better at planning. I'm better at everything. Not everything. He kissed her then, really kissed her. And the kitchen, the flour, the bread, all of it faded, until there was just this, them finally. They told the children that night, Finn, Ruby. Sitting at the table after supper, Caleb cleared his throat. We have something to tell you. Finn looked wary. Ruby looked excited. Willa and I. We're getting married, Ruby shrieked. Literally shrieked, jumped out of her chair, ran around the table. Threw herself at Willa. I knew it. Willa laughed. Caught her, did you now? Yes, I told Finn, I told Papa. I told everyone. Finn smiled, actually smiled. Congratulations. Caleb raised an eyebrow. That's it? Congratulations? What else do you want me to say? I don't know. Something more. Finn stood. Came around the table, held out his hand to Willa. She took it. Welcome to the family. His voice cracked on the last word, and Willa realized he was crying. This boy, this 10-year-old, who'd been holding everything in for so long, was finally letting go. She pulled him into a hug, and he let her. Thank you, she whispered. For what? For giving me a chance. You gave us one first. When he pulled back, his eyes were red, but he was smiling, really smiling. And Caleb stood at the head of the table, watching his family complete for the first time in 3 years, and whole Sunday. By December 11th, church, the last place Willa expected anything remarkable to happen.
After the service.
As they were leaving, Constance Whitfield approached with purpose. Miss Hartwell. Mr. Thorne, Mrs. Whitfield, I heard your news. Congratulations. Thank you, Willa said carefully. I'd like to host your wedding breakfast. If you'll allow it, Willa blinked. You want to? It's tradition. Someone in the community hosts. And I'd like it to be me. She said it with such sincerity, such genuine desires to make amends, that Willa couldn't refuse. That's very kind. Good. Then it's settled. Just let me know the date. Constance smiled. Walked away. Mrs. Campbell came over next. Did she just offer to host your breakfast? She did. Well, I never thought I'd see the day. Neither did I. They set the date, Saturday. December 17th, 1 week away. Not much time. But they didn't need much. Just a ceremony. A witness. A promise. The rest would come. Willa spent the week preparing. Not a dress. She didn't have money for that. But Mrs. Howell offered to alter one. A simple blue dress. Good fabric. and Mrs. Campbell offered lace from her own wedding dress. The women of Millwood, who'd once whispered, now helped, brought food for the breakfast, flowers for the church, ribbons for Ruby's hair, turned a small wedding into a community celebration. Because that's what happens when a town decides you're one of them. They show up. Friday night, December 16th, the night before. Willa couldn't sleep, lay in her small room, window facing east, thinking about tomorrow, about standing in front of the town, promising forever, about becoming a wife, a mother, about all the things she'd never thought she'd have. A knock at her door. Caleb, can't sleep either? No, he came in, sat on the edge of her bed, nervous, terrified. Me too, really? Willa, I'm about to marry the smartest, strongest, most capable woman I've ever met. Of course I'm terrified, she laughed. You're supposed to say I'm beautiful. You are beautiful. But that's not why I'm marrying you. Why are you marrying me? He thought about it. Because you fixed my steps without being asked. Because you stood up to your brother. Because my kids love you. Because you make questionable coffee but excellent stew. My coffee's not that bad. It's pretty bad. You drink it every morning. Because you made it. She shook her head. You're ridiculous. And you're stuck with me now, not until tomorrow. Close enough. He stood. Get some sleep. Big day tomorrow, Caleb. Yeah? I love you. She hadn't said it before, hadn't planned to say it now, but it was true. And he deserved to know. His face softened. I love you too. He left, and Willa lay back down. Heart full. Mind quiet, ready for tomorrow, Saturday. December 17th, 10 in the morning. The church was packed. Everyone came. The Howells, the Campbells, Mr. Durant, Sheriff Wilson, Judge Morrison, even Thomas Brennan, sober. In a clean shirt, Caleb had been helping him these past weeks, finding him work, helping him stop drinking, not because Thomas deserved it, but because that's what Caleb did. Constance Whitfield and her daughter Emily sat in the front row. And at the front of the church, Caleb, in his only suit, hair combed, boots polished, looking nervous and happy and completely overwhelmed. Finn stood beside him, the ring in his pocket, and the door at the back opened. Willa walked in, not alone, Ruby beside her, holding her hand because Willa had no father to give her away, and Ruby had insisted, I want to walk with you. So she did. The blue dress fit perfectly. The lace at the collar, the ribbon in her hair. She looked like a bride. But more than that, she looked like a woman who'd fought for this moment, who'd earned it. Caleb watched her walk toward him, and his eyes filled, because this woman, this incredible woman, had chosen him, when she could have chosen anyone, or no one. She'd chosen him. Willa reached the front. Ruby let go of her hand, stepped aside. Caleb took both of Willa's hands. Hi. Pastor Williams Clustov cleared his throat, dearly beloved. The ceremony was short, civil. Traditional vows for better or worse, richer or poorer, sickness and health, till death. When it came time for the ring, Finn stepped forward, handed it to his father. Caleb slipped it on Willa's finger, brass band. Simple, sturdy, with this ring, I thee wed, and then you may kiss your bride. Caleb cupped Willa's face, kissed her gently. The church erupted in applause. Ruby cheered, Finn smiled. And Willa felt something settle in her chest, something that had been loose for 25 years, finally found its place. The breakfast at the Whitfield house was perfect, tat set up in the yard. Despite the cold, food brought by every family in town, breads, meats, preserves, pies, enough to feed an army. People ate, talked, celebrated. Mr. Durant gave a toast, short, sweet, to Caleb and Willa. May they build a life as sturdy as his carpentry. Everyone laughed, raised glasses, drank. Mrs. Campbell cried. Mrs. Howell hugged Willa 3 times. And as the afternoon wore on, as people began to leave, Finn approached Willa, alone. Can I ask you something? Anything. He looked down. Then back up. Can I call you Ma? Or is that weird? Willa's throat tightened. It's not weird. It's perfect, you sure? I'm sure. He nodded. Serious. Okay. Ma, he said it quietly, testing it out. And then he smiled and walked away, and Willa stood there, in Constance Whitfield's yard, in her wedding dress, surrounded by people who'd become family, and realized this was it. This was everything. That evening, after everyone left, after the children went to bed, Caleb and Willa sat on the porch, stars overhead, cold air, hot coffee. We did it, Willa said. We did. I'm Willa Thorne now. How's it feel? Strange. Good. Right. He took her hand. I can't believe you're mine. I'm not yours. He looked stricken. You're not? No. We're each other's. There's a difference. He smiled. You're right. They sat in comfortable silence until Willa spoke again. Can I tell you something? Anything. When I got off that train, when Silas left me there, I thought my life was over, and now I think it was just beginning. Caleb kissed her hand. Mine too, Monday. December 19th, life returned to normal. Except nothing was normal, because Willa wasn't the housekeeper anymore. She was the wife, the mother, the partner. And it changed things. Small things, the way Caleb kissed her goodbye in the morning, the way Finn asked her opinion on his schoolwork, the way Ruby crawled into bed with them during thunderstorms, the way the town looked at them, not as a carpenter and his housekeeper, but as a family. The business thrived. Caleb hired 2 men to help, took on bigger projects, started saving again, for the future, for expansion, for dreams they hadn't dared dream before. And Willa managed it all, the books, the house, the children, with grace and humor, and the quiet competence that had always been hers. Christmas came there first as a family. They cut a tree, small pine from the property line, decorated it with paper chains Ruby made, popcorn strings Finn threaded, a star Caleb carved from wood. On Christmas morning, presents under the tree, not many, but meaningful for Ruby, a doll, handmade by Mrs. Howell for Finn, a knife, from Caleb, for whittling for Caleb, a new saw, that Willa had saved for Willa, a box cedar, like the one with the key, but bigger. She opened it, inside. A photograph, the 4 of them, taken at the church, on their wedding day. Beneath it, a note. In Caleb's handwriting, for memories. Old and new, Willa's eyes filled. When did you? Had it made in town. Wanted you to have it. She looked at the photograph, at Caleb, solid and present, at Finn, smiling for real, at Ruby, grinning like she'd won the world, at herself. Happy, home, whole. Thank you, you're welcome. That night, after the children slept, after the dishes were done, Caleb and Willa lay in their bed, in their room, in their house, in their life. Merry Christmas, Willa Thorne. Merry Christmas, Caleb Thorne. He pulled her close. She fit perfectly, like she'd been made for this space, this man, this family. What are you thinking? He asked. That I'm grateful for you, for this, for the train that brought me here. Even though it brought you to Silas first, especially because of that. If he'd said yes, I'd never have found you. Caleb kissed her temple. Guess I owe him a thank you, don't you dare? He laughed. And they lay there, in the dark, in the quiet, in the perfect imperfect life they'd built. Together, January turned to February, February to March. Winter loosened its grip, and spring arrived, slow, reluctant, but it came. Snow melted, grass greened, birds returned, and with them, new beginnings. Caleb bought the land next door. 2 more acres, room for expansion, for a bigger workshop, for a garden, for chickens Ruby wanted, for the future they were building. 1 nail, 1 board, 1 day at a time. March 1883, Willa stood in the yard, watching Caleb and Finn frame the new workshop, Ruby beside her, talking about chicken names. She'd gotten her 10 chickens after all, and she realized something. She'd spent 25 years waiting for life, to start waiting for a place to belong, waiting for home, and it had been here all along. Not in a place, but in people. In the carpenter who crossed a street, in the boy who learned to trust again, in the girl who'd claimed her as mama, in the community that chose to see her, not as the woman left on the platform, but as the woman who stayed, who fought, who built a life from nothing but courage and a carpet bag. Ruby tugged her sleeve. The chickens need names. You've named them 3 times already, but I keep changing my mind. That's allowed, really? Really? Ruby grinned, ran off to tell Finn about the new chicken names. Caleb walked over, wiped his forehead. That girl and her chickens, she loves them. She loves everything. That's not a bad way to be. He pulled Willa close, kissed her forehead. I love this life. Me too. Think it'll always be this good? No. Some days will be hard. Some days will hurt. But we'll face them together. Promise? Promise. He held her. And Willa looked at the house. The new workshop, rising, the children playing, the land stretching out, full of possibility, full of promise, full of home. And she thought about the woman who'd stepped off that train, bag in hand, chin high, heart guarded, who'd walked away from that platform with a stranger, into uncertainty, into risk, into the unknown, and found everything. Not because she was rescued, but because she was brave enough to stay, to choose, to love, and to let herself be loved. This was not the life she'd planned, but it was the life she'd built, with her own hands, her own strength, her own heart. And it was enough, more than enough. It was everything. This was the story of Willa, who arrived with nothing and left with everything that mattered. Not because someone gave it to her, but because she claimed it, built it, earned it. One brave choice at a time, until bravery became habit, and habit became life. And life became love, the kind that lasts, the kind that matters, the kind that makes a platform. Just the beginning, not the end.